Podcast. Welcome everybody to tonight's virtual vacation where we're going to be taking you on a trip to Greece. Thank you to all of you who are here. Welcome. We've got people from all over. Some of you have said you've been to Greece, others wanting to go. So we hope you're going to enjoy tonight's presentation. Share my screen as we get started. You'll notice that you have the chat box there. Please feel free to put in your questions as we're going along. Please keep in mind too, there are 100 of you on the line with us tonight, so we will get to your questions as soon as possible. And if for some reason as we go through, if we don't see it, if we get a lot of questions at one time, feel free to enter it again in and we will get it at some point throughout the conversation. All right, so take a virtual vacation. It started back in April of this year when we were locked down and a group of travel agents decided we all needed to escape. And since we couldn't escape our own four walls, we figured we would bring that to you and provide you an opportunity to visit a different destination every week. Some of you have been with us for multiple trips. For some of you, this is your first trip. We welcome you back and welcome you for the first time. So here in the Tampa Bay area is myself, Maria Stephanopoulos with Ingenious Travel. We have Susan Schaefer from Ships and Trips Travel, who's in the Nashville, Tennessee area. Barbara Oliver of All Together Now Travel, who's in the Santa Clarita, Los Angeles area. Gil Sherman from Wine Lovers Travel, who is closer to Camarillo, California. And Candace Stearns, who's here from Detroit, Michigan. Where you can find us. Some of you know we have the Take a Virtual Vacation Facebook group. And if you're not a member, we welcome you to join us. And I'll put the link to all these in the chat in just a few minutes. Here in the virtual vacation group, not only do you see our upcoming calendar of events, but you can also have access to our previously recorded vacations. We have a YouTube channel as well, where you can search for Take a Virtual Vacation or click on the YouTube link that I'll put in the chat. For those of you who are in Tampa, Middle Tennessee, or Detroit, we have Eat, Drink, Travel meetup groups. Right now, most of us are still meeting virtually because of the situation in our area. However, Candace, you want to let us know about your in-person meetup?
Yes, we have our first meetup on August 27th, which is a Thursday evening at 6:30 to 8:30 at Harry's Detroit Bar and Grill in downtown. And all the information is on our meetup group on that web address.
Thank you. All right. So, Christina, I'm going to hand it over to you, let you introduce yourself, and please take us away to Greece.
Wonderful. Kalos ήρθατε, that's welcome in Greek. I have a horrible American accent with my Greek. I married one.
It's not bad. It's not bad at all.
I married one and I'm just a wannabe, but I love it. Lived there for 10 years. All right, I'm going to share my screen. Can you see it okay?
Yes.
Yeah, great. All right, so welcome. We'll be traveling to Greece this evening. All righty. So what we'll cover is just some kind of fun facts about the country. There are some experiences and words that are completely unique to Greece, so we'll kind of tell you what not to miss out on. These are also my top 5 under the radar destinations, including where Mamma Mia was really filmed, and another is Elizabeth Gilbert's favorite place on earth, so you'll see that. How to visit Greece's popular spots while avoiding the crowds and the cost. And we'll kind of do a best spots for, so we'll have the best places and tips for proposals and weddings to appeal to our romance travelers, the wine trips for Gail, and family stays for pretty much everybody. So as Maria mentioned, my name is Christina Papavlasopoulos. I co-founded a company called Shafari. And Shafari really is the first of its kind marketplace connecting women through transformative travel experiences. So we do everything from retreats to group adventures. In 2021, not anytime soon, but we'll be doing kind of Find Your Inner Goddess in Egypt. We'll be going to Iceland, south of France, and of course, Greece. So there's a lot of fun trips in the pipeline for women of all ages. And of course, with our foundations in Greece, I lived in Greece for 10 years. My business partner and I, we started our company, the travel company, while living in Greece. So Greece is near and dear to our hearts, and we've really become a Greece destination expert. So we'll do family trips, destination weddings, honeymoons, themed group trips, and retreats.
And just to throw it in there really quick, for those of the men in the room, don't be put off by that thinking it's all women's trips. This is just what Christina's company specializes in, but she's our go-to for Greece because she has been there more recently than I have even.
Yeah, so exactly. Well, everything, I've got something for everybody in this, but it's a part of our business, but again, the Greece destination kind of thing is that's our go-to. So Greece is a small country in the Mediterranean. It's about just under 11 million people live there, and there's over 6,000 islands, but 227 are inhabited. The currency is euro. It used to be the drachma, and it was part of the EU in 2001. So things are still, in the scheme of Greek history, still relatively fresh. And there's 7 main island groups. So the island groups are really important to know because, when you're planning a trip to Greece, you want to be focused on where you're headed and, kind of make it cohesive. I hear so many times, to kind of put it in perspective, I've had German relatives come visit, right? And they're like, today I want to go to New York City, and tomorrow I'd like to go to the Golden Gate Bridge. And you're like, whoa, it's you want to stick with what's nearby. Otherwise, you're going to be spending all your time on ferry or by plane. So this is a little hint as to the Greek islands. There's the Ionian. Crete is its own large island. There are the Cycladic Islands, Dodecanese, the Saronic, Northern Sporades, and Aegean Islands. All right, so Delphi was claimed the navel of the world by Zeus. This is a fun fact. Greece has an average of 300 sunny days per year. It is the world's first democracy, dating back to the 5th century BC. It is one of the 5 worldwide blue zones, which is the island of Icaria. It is the most sexually active nation in the world, so they say. And the Greek alphabet was the first ever to use vowels. And I'll talk a little bit about some communication 101 in Greece. And there are 26 Greek temples in Greece, 6 in Turkey, and 13 in Italy. So here are some helpful phrases to help you get around in Greece. Hello is yasas. Good morning is kalimera, which literally means good day. So people kind of say that. You could say it essentially all day long, even into the afternoon. Good afternoon is kalispera. Thank you is efcharisto. You're welcome is paragalo. Cheers, they say to our health, as they say in some countries. So it's stin iyamas. How much is it is poso. Poso means how much, or posoine if you're trying to buy something, maybe you're at a market. And restrooms, as throughout most of Europe, toilets kind of the international way to say it, and they say toaleta. So the Greek alphabet has 2 O letters. Some of you, if you rushed or were in a frat or a sorority, you might know Omicron and Omega. And there are 3 I letters, which is eta, iota, and epsilon. So when you're trying to spell a word, even the Greeks make mistakes. So you have to know the rules about which letters to choose. So just some kind of body language, right? We all have there are certain things about body language and intonation that are important to know in Greece. So an open palm, like a high five, if you kind of did this to somebody, that's a major insult, equivalent kind of to the middle finger. So if you're telling someone to stop or hey, they say nah, that's they're really, really offended. I've made some incredible faux pas over my 10 years of living in Greece and said words that I thought mean something. And if your tone is off, it's a rough one. So the raised eyebrows and a nod means no. One time I was trying to hail a taxi and I said, "Are you going to?" And they kept going like this. And I had no idea what that meant, but means no. And then also in Greek, questions drop in tone rather than go higher. So if I would ask Maria, have you ever been to Greece? I go up. Greeks say, "Expai lava." They go down, which was really hard for me to follow in language as well. So just fun little things about communicating in Greek.
All right, so before we go on, we've got a couple things that came up in the chat. There is a question about safety concerns for women. I don't know if you want to take that now or if you want to get back to that later.
I talk about that a little bit later when I talk about Athens. Is it just safety in general, or was there a specific?
I'm just asking
in general
safety concerns.
Yeah, I'll go through some helpful things later. Greece is very safe. Athens, any major European city, I'll mention it later too. You want to be aware of pickpocketers and kind of common thief. Other than that, there isn't a major concern. I felt safer living in Athens than I did when I lived in New York City. Just me personally, I just feel like Athens is very, very safe. And of course the islands and villages that much more. I would say in general for women, for any sort of minority, various races and all sexual orientations, Greece is very, very safe and welcoming.
And there's another question here. Is Opa flaming cheese really Greek, or is that an American thing? So Opa is an expression that the Greeks use. And just so the flaming cheese is actually called saganaki, which doesn't sound Greek at all. But that's literally the flaming cheese. It's Kayseri cheese. And for those of you who've not had it, you need to try it. So.
In Greece, they don't do the Opa and the theatrics as much at a real true taverna, but they like to do it here.
Yeah. Especially in Detroit.
Greek town, yeah.
Representation all over, you know, that's great. So I'll continue. I love the questions. Keep them coming. And Maria, thanks for jumping in. So here are some top things to try that are unique to Greece. The choriatiki salata. Choriatiki literally means like from the village. So these are the Greek diet, the Mediterranean diet is very much what is in season and what is locally grown. So this classic dish is just fresh tomatoes, cucumbers, and onion, always as a base. Some do peppers, some do olives. And then you'll see it's topped with feta, of course, fresh olive oil, and sometimes capers, and always oregano, fresh oregano. That's big with the Greek crew. Masticha. Masticha is a really, really cool substance. It's kind of like a syrupy, it's essentially sap, which they call the tears of Chios, only found on the trees of the island of Chios. And it's used to make the most incredible liqueur. It's kind of, I liken it to it's kind of like minty meets vanilla, almost a little eucalyptusy. It's delicious, and they use it, it was the original gum that they would use to freshen their breath with. It's also, as I said, in the liqueur, and sometimes it's in like a candy or a dessert. Such a good drink. And of course, we've got coffee culture. Greeks are huge into coffee. So on the upper left there, you'll see the classic Elleniko cafe, the Greek coffee, which sometimes is called Turkish coffee and some other things. So they actually boil the coffee and then reduce it, and they pour it in. And then there's the Freddo, or the Freddo cappuccino, which is the best iced drink. If you go on vacation in Greece, you have to order a Freddo cappuccino. It's so delicious. It's actually frothed milk frothed with ice over a cold shot or two of espresso, and it's really, really delicious. This is a picture. Maria, you tell us about this picture. I love it. This is a classic Greek kafenio.
So this is, okay, what a kafenio is, it's like basically a men's coffee shop, if you will, where, as you see, the group of the elder men from the village get together, they'll play cards, they'll play tavli, what's that called in English? Backgammon.
Yeah.
And drink coffee, smoke cigarettes, and it's a guy's place to hang out. My uncle is actually in this picture. He's he's on the right side sitting down with the glasses on.
Nice.
So, I mean, it was a staple in the village. And you see these in villages all over the place. I know a couple people in the chat have mentioned that they've been to Greektown in Detroit. There's a kafenio there. We have them here in Tarpon Springs. Anywhere you have a Greektown location, you're going to find some type of a kafenio.
And the cafanillo is very much a part of men, women culture. So the cafanillo, as you mentioned, is specifically for men. So much so, it depends, you know, it's 2020, we're evolving a bit, but still, sometimes if a woman walks in, it's like, you know, stop the music, heads turn. But a lot of cafes, you know, it's very much a cafe culture. In fact, in Greece, all stores, except for essential businesses, are closed on Sunday. And people just take their kids, they take their, you know, families, and they go for coffee. So thoughts are shared, politics are discussed. It's very, very much a coffee culture. And another thing they do are coffee ground readings, which is a little kind of fun and myth mixed. But the Greek coffee that you saw before, they'll pour it. After you drink it, they swirl it, flip it upside down, and the way the coffee grounds dry is what they'll say. They can read symbols, and there's a whole kind of art to that. So that's really fun, especially if you're, you know, kind of a group of ladies that's, you know, going to a Greek coffee reader is kind of a fun thing. And men, you absolutely have to try to pop into a cafanillo. It's fun. Okay, so this is a word, kefi. Kefi is unique to the Greek language, and it's been described as just loving life, having a zest for life, joy. And kefi is just anytime you're just having a blast, right? Greeks are great at this. They are a great time. So this is an example of probably a panegyri, where a panegyri is celebrating a specific saint's name day. Maria, for example, just had her name day on August 15th, where they celebrate the Virgin Mary. It's a very Christian, you know, Greek Orthodox country, so that's very important. So anytime there's a saint's name day or a big celebration, somebody specific in the village, they have these big celebrations, and kefi is part of it, kind of dancing with your whole heart and soul. The bouzoukia is another example of kefi. It's nightlife. So these are actually famous Greek singers, famous, of course, to Greeks, because there's only 11 million people. But they perform around the country, mostly in Athens and Thessaloniki, in the larger cities. And they do these live shows from Thursday night till Sunday night. And you can see you buy a table for the evening, you buy bottle service, and they have carnations on trays that they actually throw at the singers. So this is kind of a nod to the old plate breaking and plate throwing that they used to do. And now they do flowers, which are safer. And it's very much kind of part of the nightlife. And here, this is a famous singer, Nikos Ikonomopoulos, one of my favorites. They are just dumping trays, right? Just dumping trays of flowers on him. Someone was a high roller in there and wanted to buy him a bunch of flowers. So it's kind of a truly unique Greek experience, but they call it the backbone of Greek nightlife. That's where Greeks go and enjoy their music. So on a spiritual note, tamata is a really cool thing in Greece. So these are petitions for miracles. As you'll see here, there are all these different tins, and there are special artists that make these tins. And you can see a baby, eyes, different things. These are people who have a special petition or an illness, something to do with the body that they're trying to heal or wish for. So it might be about fertility, it might be cancer or a specific disease, and they'll go to a specific saint and pray for this illness to pass or to heal, or for them to get what they want. It can be done for somebody else. And when you put this petition in, they will, they then often dedicate or name even their child after the saint if their miracle is granted. So Greeks are really faith-filled, and they have some kind of fun, different things that they do kind of with good luck and spirituality and different things. So those are kind of the things I think that are really fun and unique to Greece that you should try. Here are my top 5 destinations.
Before we get to that, we've got a couple other questions that came in.
Absolutely.
All right, so first one, who measures sexually active for countries, and what is a blue zone?
Okay, so there actually is, I don't know, I want to find this, but there were tests done based on responses, but there was this study that this has been published. I feel like it was like a BuzzFeed thing, but yeah, it's there's been articles written, so I would love to know that as well.
We'll get that. We'll find that answer. We'll put it in the Take a Virtual Vacation
We'll send it
Facebook group, and that way we'll have that answer.
Yeah,
okay.
But it was in an article. And then the blue zones are healthy. It's areas of the world that are considered very healthy and have the longest longevity. The longest one sounds redundant. The highest longevity, I guess, and where people live the longest. So that is a specific kind of accreditation in very few places in the world.
Okay, and then we got another question from Susan Nick about being a tour operator. We will answer that a little bit later, because that's something that we can talk to you about even offline, with being a more in-depth history, to do an in-depth history tour of Greece instead of a light tour.
Oh yeah, and that's what's great about Greece. You can go in depth on so many different things. The history's there. You can do a fun spin-off. You can go off of mythology, history, wine. I mean, there's so many different things to do. So Maria, you can definitely help after that. I'm available for questions as well.
Yeah, Susan, we'll follow up with you after the webinar. Okay, it's all yours again.
So here are kind of the top 5 destinations. If I ask everybody, you'll probably say, you know, Mykonos, you know, Santorini. Those are often the 2 top of mind islands. So I wanted to pick a few places, and they're not all islands, that I think are very much worth seeing. And maybe, you know, it's not wrong to want to hit the big islands on your first trip. I'll give you some tips how to do those, but these might even be an extended trip or a second trip to Greece. You can go back time and time again. So one of my favorites is Tinos. Tinos is a small island in the Cycladic, or Cyclades, depending on how, I know English and American English and Greek, they kind of say things differently. So it's one of the small kind of Cycladic gems. Travel and Leisure just recently named it kind of like the, how did they say it? They're like the best island that you've never heard of that's 30 minutes from Mykonos, right? So it's just this beautiful, beautiful island with pristine beaches. It's got a very large Catholic portion as opposed to Greek Orthodox, which kind of gives it a different feel as well. But it's known for its 50 villages. So there are 50 villages throughout this smaller island. And it's really known as like a foodie's haven. It's up and coming for foodies. They do a lot of farm to table experiences, fresh seafood, various things. So it's really a great place if you're into food, and especially kind of what's native to Greece. This would be a great island to visit. Tinian architecture is very unique too. There's kind of these little pillars, and those are homes for like pigeons and birds. So they have these little slots for the birds to live in. But you'll see it's kind of the blue and white, like a lot of the Cycladic, but still it has its additional kind of unique features. So the second place I'll mention that I think is definitely worth seeing is Parga. Parga is in the Preveza region of Epirus. It's on the west side. So it is all the way in central Greece on the west side. And it's kind of known as the island that isn't an island, because it looks like one. It's beautiful, pristine beaches also here. But what's great about it is that it's a connector to the other Ionian Islands, which are nearby. So it's a really gorgeous, vibrant town. You'll see a lot of colors, but it connects the mainland to islands like Paxos and Adipaxos. Corfu is just north. So all of the Ionian Islands on the west side, that would be Corfu, Zakynthos. You'll see that this is, you know, a nice place to kind of make your way over there. Koufonisia is another part. It's actually called the Small Cyclades. So it's part of the big Cycladic group of islands. It's near Mykonos, it's near Tinos, it's near Santorini, but it's its own unique little cluster called the Small Cyclades. It's really known for it's very pared down. I mean, it's very not super inhabited. It's really taking kind of a step back in time. Really known for its boho vibes, chill, relax, that sort of thing. And it's called a double dose of paradise because there's actually an upper and lower part of Kufonisia. So a lot of these islands are kind of clusters. There might be like another teeny little island to visit nearby. For example, only one part of Kufonisia is actually inhabited, but these little clusters and these little islands that are uninhabited are such gems. If you can rent a boat or get across with a ferry, they're so worth, you know, these little coves and beautiful caves that you can swim in, they're definitely worth visiting. And of course, it has these incredible, breathtaking waters, just this perfect, clear blue, blue-green. It's unbelievable. To me, the west side has maybe the clearest, most beautiful water. I'm sure Greeks are going to all argue that theirs is the most beautiful, but truly, Kufonisia, Kefalonia, those areas are really, really stunning. Corfu. So Skopelos is another beautiful area. This is more green. So these are called the Sporades Islands, which are to the east. So Skopelos is near Skiathos. And Skopelos is the place where Mamma Mia was filmed. If you watch the movie, if anyone's an avid Mamma Mia person, I am, the island that they actually say it's on is called Kalokeri. Kalokeri actually means summer in Greece. It means summertime, and it is not the name of an island. So they talk about the island of Kalokeri, which does not exist. But it's filmed in a couple places, but primarily it's in Skopelos. And if you watch certain scenes, you can definitely tell the green trees, the blue water, the rockiness. It's definitely Skopelos. And this is a picture of the church that I've been to. I went with my mom and my aunts because they were coming to visit, and I said, well, what do you ladies want to do? They said, jokingly, my cousin said, I want to live my Mamma Mia dream. And we went to Skopelos. So it's really fun. Spoiler alert, the church inside is empty. The church that it is filmed in the film is actually filmed in a studio or in a different church, but it's still beautiful to climb and look around. And as I mentioned, Skopelos is unique because it's one of the few green and lush islands of Greece. So another incredible area to visit is actually, again, not an island. It's called Zagorochoria. So it's the villages. It's a cluster of villages in the Zagori region. It is known for its gorges. It is also gorgeous, but it's known for its gorges and has one of the deepest gorges in the world. And it has these old bridges because it's all mountainous and hilly. So there are these incredible old stone homes built into this mountain region, and then there are these gorgeous bridges that connect everything. So if you're, some people are into doors. If you're a bridge person, you've got to go to Zagorochoria. Really cool bridges. This is one of my favorite hotels. This is called Aristi Mountain Resort, but this is actually like just exactly what Zagorochoria is all about. Rustic luxury, farm to table restaurants. One of my favorite restaurants in all of Greece is located there. They serve all things mushroom. So it's actually a really cool kind of take on, they serve mushroom dishes, entrees, everything. And this is the place that Elizabeth Gilbert visited. She went with my local expert there, and she went with, I think, her mom and a friend. And she just said, I just spent 4 days in the most beautiful place I've ever seen on earth, Zagorochoria. So, I mean, from the springs to the bridges, it's, as she says, this is a place of deep and ancient magic. So I definitely recommend it. It's great for kind of a cozy visit as well. Okay, now this will be getting into the visiting the top spots. Do we have any questions? Are we taking a pause or are we pressing on?
Yeah, just one question. We had a guest ask about ferries between the islands. So you can take ferries between the islands or you can fly. You could either do by plane or by helicopter as well.
Yes. With the flying, just to add to that, you're absolutely right, there's both, but the flights all kind of use Athens as a spoke, unless it's a private plane or a helicopter, as you said. Very few, and again, the schedule changes every year, but you wouldn't be able to fly from Mykonos to Santorini usually. You'd have to go even if they're this close together, you'd have to fly back to Athens. So Athens is kind of the spokes of the wheel, which is why if you're going far, it's definitely worth it, because most flights, even from one island set to the other, is maximum like 55 minutes. But you can either take the high-speed ferries, which you want to be careful if you get a little nauseous or seasick. If you got to have a stomach for that, because it's like riding a jet ski all the way there for 4 hours. Or you can take a slow boat, which is a really nice, they're larger, very comfortable.
That was it for now. Back to you.
Okay. So let's talk about Mykonos. Just some things kind of, I would say, tips for navigating these, more popular areas. I would say avoid eating in kind of the obvious places, right? If there's a big square, in Mykonos' case, it's the Old Port. There's so many hidden, really authentic restaurants kind of on the little streets. So just go exploring a little bit versus eating right there on the square. Rent a car for the best beaches and restaurants. It's definitely worthwhile, because Mykonos town is just in one little place, but it takes, I think, about an hour and a half to get around the whole island. So you definitely want to rent a car. I personally, I'm a safety stickler. I don't recommend the mopeds or the quads. Quads are safer than, a two-wheel, but I just, Mykonos is known for drinking and partying. And even if you're a safe driver, not everybody is. I just suggest being in a car for everybody's safety. And I would say you can really skip kind of the most popular, beach resorts, beach clubs. There are some amazing beach clubs, but the ones that are really super VIP, I think can be a little overpriced. So there are some that are, very authentic, that are off the beaten path a little bit. So if you're staying a few nights in Mykonos, if you're actually staying there and you're not coming on a cruise, the cruise crowds come and go. And of course, these are all of my, this is my advice pre-COVID. I have a feeling cruise traffic and in general, traffic in general on the islands will be very different going forward. But I would say, in the past, cruise crowds were pretty heavy during the day. So the shops kind of take a siesta and then they reopen way late into the evening. I mean, you can even, let's say Greek seat dinner, right, Maria? You probably did this too. Greek seat dinner, 10, 11. Yeah, 11, 12, eating your dinner. You take a little espresso shot around 2, head to the clubs, party till sun up around 7, get a crepe and head home. So, I mean, it's a totally different lifestyle, especially Mykonos. Mykonos is known for that. So yeah, enjoying it. And shops are open late too. There's no 9 to 5. They're open, well after midnight. Crepes and gyro are definitely the way to go if you're looking for kind of a easy, affordable meal on the go. And the best time to visit, I would say, for Mykonos is May, early June into September. Definitely avoid, I would say, the heat and the crowds of July and August. And unlike some people think that, Greece, there are parts of Greece that are year round. I would say in order to if you really want like a beach experience, you don't want to go probably before May to Greece, or after, early October, mid-October still works. Okay, so Santorini. Everybody talks about Ia and Fira. You can catch the Ia sunset from a rooftop restaurant with like a great reservation. If you're staying in a boutique hotel or somewhere, you can ask your concierge to hook you up with a nice local place that they'd recommend. Ask what time sunset's going to be, and you can have an incredible meal and watch the sunset all the same. I wouldn't sit elbow to elbow at the edge of town. I think it's a little overrated, and it's just you don't get the same experience. A sunset catamaran is definitely a must-do. We've got some incredible partners there that have the catamaran. It's a full barbecue, wine and beer included. And Greece, to me, is, especially Santorini, it's like the Amalfi Coast. It's one of the places to me that you have to see from the water. You've got red cliffs, you've got white cliffs, you've got black. And yes, it's gorgeous looking over out at the caldera, but you want to look back and see the cool towns and the rock formations. So definitely, if you're comfortable on the water, you should take a catamaran cruise. So Santorini is kind of crescent shaped. You can avoid the hustle and bustle by staying in a town that's still, still nearby, still walkable. Like Firostefani or Imirovili are great options that are just quieter. Keep in mind that there are some great Greek islands if you want to rent a home or a villa. Santorini really probably wouldn't be one of them. Homes that are advertised as villas really are more just kind of like really nice apartments because they're kind of clustered in the town. There are some, but they're more inland. But I would say just when you're shopping around, be careful as to what's really truly a villa. That's why you need a travel expert to help you plan that. The best time to visit, I would say Santorini. Again, May or September, even October. It's really beautiful. If you're not looking for the beach experience, you can go earlier or later, extend that out a bit. The problem with the Cycladic Islands is thus the Mykonos windmills, they're known for their wind. So you run into the issues of getting frozen and windblown, or some ferries, there are actually days where it's too choppy for the ferry to go, just due to the high wind, and you don't want to get sick on a boat. So if you, avoid the early spring. So when it comes to Athens, Athens is a beautiful European city to visit, absolutely. It sometimes gets overlooked. I think it's definitely worth at least a day or two on your Greek experience. If you don't want to splurge on an Acropolis view room, you can definitely just visit the rooftop bars and enjoy it for the cost of a cocktail. Because if you're out and about and you're not, it's not something that you need to have the view in your room, you can save a little that way. But I definitely recommend while you're in Athens, venture outside of the city center, places like Vouliagmeni Lake, Sunio, and the Athens Riviera, definitely worth a visit. So this is kind of where answering back to the safety question. So just like any major city in the US, Europe, or elsewhere, pickpocketing is common. So only use bags with zippers. So even if you just got a beach tote, make sure it's got a zipper on it. Never leave your backpacks or your purses on the backs of chairs. Walking down a side street, you're still pretty safe. I mean, Athens is, as I said, I think it's very safe, in comparison to a lot of other places in the world. So walk down a side street and get a nice authentic gyro. It's delicious. It only costs €2 to €3. And if you pass a restaurant where they're hustling you to come in, come, welcome, keep moving on. And a little fact about the true Greek gyro, they don't make them with lamb. They're made with pork or chicken typically.
Yeah, and they put French fries in them.
Oh, French fries, tomato, yeah, paprika. They've got their own little special seasonings. Yeah, and it's a really good meal for like $2 or just a couple bucks, really. It's great. So in terms of visiting the Acropolis, everybody wants to know a good time to go, how to do it. Do I pay for a tour? Do I not? Visiting the Acropolis in the early morning or toward the end of the day is a good way to beat both the heat and the crowds, depending on what time of year you go. I love, if you're looking for something to do in the middle of the day and it's really hot, visit the Acropolis Museum. I love it. I get so much out of it because you can see all of the ancient tools and toys and trinkets that they've had. Everything that was kind of found in the Athens surrounding area and all the ruins in the Agora are featured there. So it's really cool to climb the Acropolis and to experience that for sure. But there's nothing really there tactile to see besides the ruins. So seeing the actual tools and the pottery and everything within the museum is really great. And the best time I would say to visit Athens really is year round. Spring and fall obviously have less crowds, and Christmas is lovely. They put a big Christmas tree up in Syntagma Square, and there are decorations, and it's really nice to see. Also, kind of adding with the safety, I would say one thing you really want to pay attention to is taxis and who you get in with. There is, I don't know if it's, I think they tried to do Uber, kind of an Uber or Lyft there, and it quickly got outvoted because it is a place where they have a taxi union and that sort of thing. So as in a lot of places in Europe, the ride share kind of apps got ousted. But so kind of taxis 101, Know that they double in price from midnight to 5 a.m. So plan around that. If you venture far, it can be pricey, and that goes. It's really helpful to know if you have an early morning flight, as a lot of international flights are. Just know that if you are in that taxi up until 5 a.m., the fare will double. So if it was 40 euros, maybe getting to downtown, all of a sudden it becomes 80 euros. Never get into a taxi unless you see the meter. You actually can see the meter and you can see that it's working. So you don't want to get hustled. And again, the Greeks are really great, really honest people. But sometimes, hear a foreign accent and they'll maybe try to get an extra buck or two. So always ask ahead if they charge for luggage. So because that is a legitimate thing. If you have luggage pieces, it sometimes is an extra 5 or 10 euro. And I recommend, and what I loved when I lived there is an app called TaxiBeat. So it's great for safe, reliable pickups. If you're not near a taxi station, you can just download TaxiBeat and it kind of pinpoints and finds you like a rideshare app. And it's a guaranteed official taxi. Okay, so now we'll talk a little bit about on kind of the romance travel. I think Greece is really great for that. Are there any questions, Maria, you want to stop or go?
No, right now we're good. We had one about asking if the presentation will be emailed out, and yes, we will be emailing out a link to the recording after it's rendered. So.
Wonderful. If any of you are joining with wine, I'm not sure what time zone you're in. It's evening here, so right. Well, we're going to talk Greek wine, so pour yourself a drink and join us. All right, so best spots for love. There definitely is a growing trend in elopements and micro weddings. Couples are combining their weddings and honeymoons to get the most bang for their buck. So there are really countless places to propose or get married. The beach obviously is a hot spot. There are boats, cruises. The vineyards, farms, and the ktimas are basically the estates. You can actually have your wedding there, clubs and restaurants, and of course villas and boutique hotels. So whoever does, if you're interested in an elopement or a destination wedding, there's so many options. So this is an actual, this is an elopement photo shoot that my company did. We paired with some local florist, photographers, and wedding planners. And this is actually on the island of Milos. Milos is known, it's kind of like, they call it like the moon rock. Everything is this gorgeous white, kind of rock that looks like the moon. And it's a very romantic place, and it's known for kind of its destination wedding appeal. So I just thought this was such a fantastic thing. And this is very common. You'll see this now in Greece. Just a simple table for 6 or 8 people, and a very small group. And it's just the Greeks are so creative. If you ever want to do a destination wedding there, the florists are phenomenal. Everything is so beautiful. So another island is Amorgos. That's another beautiful island to do weddings on, or more for like a more romantic stay. And Sifnos, this was an actual wedding we partnered with. We helped with their local travel, and this is on the island of Sifnos. I just thought they were so cute, and they did great. There's so many photo spots, right? You can do the photo ops on a boat or, on the beach. And this actually is my wedding in the Athens Riviera. So I included it because I had a destination wedding, and what I feel like you can't tell I'm in Athens, right? From this picture. It's I'm down the south in what they call the Athens Riviera towards Sunio. So it was this beautiful estate kind of on the cliffside. But what I love about it is Athens is a great place to have a destination wedding because it's still central. Some people don't want to have their guests take that extra ferry or that extra flight when they've already come so far. So Athens is still a wonderful, beautiful, and affordable place to do it. And of course, Santorini. Santorini, I didn't go too much into that because Santorini is kind of the expected one, but nevertheless, it still is gorgeous, and it is still the ultimate place where people do elopements and destination weddings. So here we go, my favorite part of the night. Oh, go ahead.
Real quick question.
Yep.
How easy is it for vegetarians in Greece?
Very, very easy. Easy because for so many reasons, because of the Mediterranean diet and because of the access to all of the natural fruits and vegetables. But in general, Greeks have many, many main dishes. And Maria, you can probably attest to this as well. Many main dishes that are just by default vegetarian. So a lot of them have a tomato base. There's briam, which is just kind of like eggplant, peppers, zucchini.
Moussaka too. That's a good one.
I'm sorry, and?
Moussaka is a good one too.
Yes. Does moussaka have ground beef in it, or is that vegetarian?
No, moussaka is vegetarian.
I should know that.
It should, yeah. It's like pasticcio, but without the meat, and it has eggplant.
Yes, yes. Okay.
It's one of my favorites I learned from my mother-in-law.
Oh, nice. See, I haven't gotten into the moussaka. That's a lot of prep work.
It is. It is.
But moussaka, absolutely. But they'll do, there's a lot of dishes that are also just like, they'll just serve, they'll do peas or green beans in tomato sauce. So it's very much the peas and the beans, the legumes, however you say it.
Yeah.
That's a huge thing. Gravithia, all different.
Tomadas.
Tomadas, absolutely. Gigades, the white beans. So yes, you're definitely, you're in good company there. And throughout Lent, which is the preparation to Easter, a lot of Greeks are diehard when it comes to that. For 40 days, they do not eat meat or anything with blood in it. So not even certain kinds of fish. They'll just do like octopus and squid and that sort of thing, and then just all vegetables. So they've got a lot of tricks up their sleeve for that. Any other questions?
Not right now.
Okay. So the best spots for wine. The first appearance of winemaking in Greece dates back to 4300 BC. So if you think winemaking was a French thing or elsewhere, Italian, there's definitely wine in Greece. So this is a great little map from Wine Folly as to the different parts of Greece that are known for the wine. So some people, I think anywhere you go in Greece, you can always order a great bottle of Greek wine or ask what they recommend, but it is also nice to actually visit the estates and see, the specific areas where wine is made. So Nausa, which is kind of confusing because it's also the capital town of Paros, which is an island, but Nausa is a town in the north near Thessaloniki, which is known for certain things, especially Malagousia. I'll go into the different types of wine. Nemea is in the Peloponnese. So the Peloponnese, just a quick kind of geography thing. The Peloponnese, or as the Greeks say, Peloponnesos, is the large peninsula, southwest of Athens. Santorini is known for its wine, Kefalonia and Crete. And there are a lot of places that are up and coming, they're bringing in the grapes and finding that they can, farm them there. So islands like Tinos, Paros are really up and coming with a wine scene. So Santorini is kind of the obvious one. A Sirtigo wine is my absolute favorite wine. It is more of like a lean white wine. It's got incredible lemon flavors. I kind of liken it to a really fresh, zesty kind of Sauvignon Blanc. It's known, certain barrels are known as Nicteri, which are oaked, and this was clearly written by a sommelier, not myself, lemon brulee and pineapple and such. But I love it. To me, tasting a glass of Assyrtiko on a Greek island is tasting summer. It's just so, and they serve it cold and refreshing, and it's so delicious. Malagousia is another really great wine. This is near the area of Thessaloniki in northern Greece. So the Malagousia was actually, I believe the story goes, it was once made for wine and it was lost, and it was single-handedly resurrected by one person. His name is Gerovasiliou, and he, Vageli Gerovasiliou, resurrected his family's estate and kind of brought the Malagousia back to life and created wine from it. So this is a little bit of a heavier white, kind of compared to like a Viognier or like a Chardonnay, with peach and again lemon, but soft fruity finish. But this specific person, if you're really into wine travel, he also founded a ktima, an estate called Vigliochora, and which is one of the most popular near Greece, near Kavala. So he went to wine school in Bordeaux, and he's really well known for the Greek wines. Ayorgitiko, that's what I'm drinking. I have a, where is it? Now it's not going to let me show it, is it? Oh, there it is. Oh. So Ayorgitiko is from the central Greece, the Peloponnese area. It is a well-known wine from Nemea. So in general, the Peloponnese Peninsula is well known for being very fertile. That's where Kalamata is, and the Kalamata olives that they're so famous for. So the Ayorgitiko is a red wine, very full-bodied, some kind of liken it to a Merlot, but with like a little bit of kick at the end. And children. A lot of people want to know what islands are good to, and what towns are good to take your children to. Overall, Greece is very family friendly. There are countless opportunities for kids to learn. I think that's what's so great about it's not just a simple vacation. You can tie in learning about history. You can visit the Olympic Stadium. You can learn about mythology. So I feel like anywhere where your child is at in their education, Greece is such an opportunity to have fun and learn. I work with some incredible tour operators where they will actually tailor a group for kids, and they'll do a fun scavenger hunt throughout, downtown Greece. There's a lot of great options. Islands like Rhodes or Zakynthos and Crete in general have a very large number of family visitors. I would just say be careful that before you book, again, that's why you want to use your travel advisor. You don't want to book an adult-only resort. Children will not be allowed to come if they're under 18. And some are more kind of honeymoon couples focused. I think one of the best things to do with your kids in Greece is enjoy village life. Slow living, enjoying rural parts of Greece is a really great way to, experience Greece the way it was back in the day. And that's it. That's what we got on Greece.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions on anything? I'm happy to answer them.
Let's see here. There are no more in the chat box. If anybody else has some last minute questions they want to ask, feel free to put that in. So tell us a little bit about your experience living in Greece, being a non-Greek.
Yes. A very American, blonde, non-Greek, right? No, it was, obviously by looking at me, they could tell, most people could tell I wasn't from there, but in general, I learned the language for as much as I could. I found that I really was missing out on a lot of social things. And even though in business, I didn't need to know it, I still wanted to, but I absolutely loved it. My husband and I made the decision to move back shortly after we were married. We wanted to, raise kids in the States, but I absolutely loved it in Greece. It is great for families. It's great to raise a family there. It's so much fun. And I really do feel like in Greece, there's something for everybody. Just the pureness of the village life. Every island has its own vibe. And I feel like I could visit every single island and each experience is different. That's what I love about Greece. You go back again and again. Every Easter, every summer we picked a different place and visited a new area, and it was an incredidible vacation. Each one different, but just all great.
It's like you have some of those underlying elements that are the same, but each island has its own flavor. Each destination that you visit does. It's really cool. Okay, so we do have a question that came in about travel in Greece. Is it available for persons with physical limitations? So
that is a great question. And in general, Europe can be very hard. And the answer is it's difficult, but yes, it's absolutely doable. So as many older European cities were made, there are a lot of steps. And Santorini is a more difficult place. My 90-year-old grandmother, when she came for my wedding, I told her there were steps. I told her, but when she saw those 130 steps down to that boutique hotel, she thought again, but it's doable. I definitely would say plan ahead, plan well. It depends too if it's kind of more only wheelchair accessible handicap, that's a different thing than maybe if somebody has some mobility issues, knees, that sort of thing. but yes, there are definitely are solutions in place, but I would not say it is not as, you know, as friendly as certain places in the US. The regulations aren't the same,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
there's no ADA over in Europe at all, which a lot of people find challenging, but there is a way to do it.
There definitely is. I had to plan a trip for a group of people who wanted to go to Italy, and the mother who wanted to come, it was her bucket list to do all of Italy. She had a hip replacement and 2 knee replacements, and we just, you know, she did the gondola in Venice. She did, you know, the little Fiat 500 in Rome, so she got to kind of see things without walking around. But yeah, if you, again, talk to your travel specialist, and they will definitely hook you up. Nothing's impossible.
Christina, there was one last question that looks like someone asked about, does Greece have any kind of Jewish population, or is there any Jewish areas?
There definitely is. There, in the area of, I think, Larissa and a few towns, there definitely is a Jewish population. There are also a lot of kind of Judeo-Christian tradition things, like following the footsteps of St. Paul. And there are different things that are where the Jewish faith and the Christian faith kind of overlap from a historical standpoint. So there are some really unique things. Some people will combine a trip to Greece and kind of northern Greece with Israel. So there are definitely options. It is not as prevalent, I would say, as a community, but I mean as a country. But there are areas. Actually, my former employer was a Greek Jewish man, and he had, you know, family in a community there.
Great. And again, this is going to be recorded, so if anyone who's just joining us or had, I saw that there's some technical difficulties where some people have gotten popped out or had issues getting in, it is going to be on the Take a Virtual Vacation website, and information will be emailed out to you.
And we had over 200 people register for this event tonight, and so we'll have to look in to see what that issue may have been. So for those who are just in now, I'm really sorry about that, but like I said, we will have this, like Candace said, we will have this available. We did get another question about the best way and what to look for lodging. That really is going to be dependent on where it is you want to go, the time of year, what you're going for, a lot of different variables, and something that, you know, if you want to reach out to any of us, we'd be more than happy to answer that for you. We just need a little bit more information before really answering that as a general question.
And just to add to that, Maria, I would say there are still really affordable options. Some people kind of assume that like the home sharing thing or kind of the rooms to let is the most affordable way to go. There are some really affordable hotels, and it's just a more secure way when you book with your travel specialist, because you're guaranteed a level of cleanliness, you're guaranteed a level of quality that way.
And then that pretty much is what we have. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Next week, we are taking a trip to Peru and Machu Picchu. So we hope that you will join us for that. Again, you can find a link for that in our Take a Virtual Vacation Facebook group. And for those of you, again, I do apologize. The person, the other agent that normally runs the meeting had a family emergency. So I'm not really sure where the disconnect was as to why not everybody was able to get in, but I definitely will check on that, and we will be sending out a link to the recording. Thank you again for joining us. Christina, thank you so much for presenting for us this evening. And for any of you,
they're ready for tourism.
Yeah, oh, we are. I know everybody's chomping at the bit to get going again. The name of the Facebook group is Take a Virtual Vacation. I'm gonna, let's see, I'll put the information back in the chat really quick on where you can find us. Here we go. And if you wanted to save the chat, if you look in the bottom right side of where the chat box is, you'll see 3 dots. You can press on that and click Save Chat, and that will create a Zoom folder on your computer, and that way you have the links that are there as well. Oh, and thank you to everybody who said thank you for this. We're glad to be able to do this for you, especially because, you know, we all know what it's like to not be traveling right now. The true traveler is really, really chomping at the bit. The YouTube, okay, somebody just asked about the YouTube link. I have that as well in the list that I just posted up in the chat. So, thank you again, everybody, for joining us. I'll wait just a few more seconds so people can click on the link that they want. And we will see you all next week when we visit Machu Picchu. Have a good night, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye, thank you. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.